G'day people. Today I'm going to make cheese toasties, or as we call them in Australia, toasted cheese sangas. Want a toasted cheese sanger, mate? Totally. Alright, very popular all around the world, toasted cheese sangas. So there's at least three ways to make them that I know of. But when you look at them online, everyone uses the fry pan technique, but that is not the only technique. So I'm going to do the fry pan technique, I'm going to do the jaffle maker technique, and I'm going to do the Martian technique, which is using the griller, using the toaster and the griller. Right, so let's put one piece of bread in the toast. Done that. Now what we're going to do is, to do the fry pan technique, we better put the fry pan on the stove, I suppose, and you butter a piece of bread. You want to be, I think, moderately generous with the butter. If you don't have enough butter, it's not as good. On the other hand, you don't want to turn it a porky to pig, so need a bit of balance. Now I'm just going to use, this is Woolworths Extra Tasty. I'm going to use it for all the toasted cheese sangas, or cheese toasties if that's what you want to call them. I just bought this Woolworths Extra Tasty today because I thought I'd try it out. I thought I'd try it out and compare it to Woolworths Ordinary Tasty. And I've got to say, I was impressed with the Ordinary Tasty, but the Extra Tasty, yeah, it's okay, but it's not great. It's not great. If you want Extra Tasty, probably better off getting Bega or Bega. If you're in Australia, if you're somewhere else, well, good luck. Use what you like. Alright. So, we get a piece of bread with butter. Butter side down, then butter side up. Put it in the fry pan. I like to use a large saucepan lid on top, which helps to keep the heat in. Now the temperature's fairly important. Temperature's fairly important. You don't want it too cold, and you don't want it too hot if you're using the fry pan technique. If it's too cold, it'll just won't fry, right? The sanger won't fry and it's no good. And if it's too hot, the bread will be fried before the cheese is melted, and that won't be any good either. So you want to make sure you've got a sort of medium ground there. Happy medium. Now I'm going to put this one in the jaffle maker. Turn it on. Jaffle makers are very popular in Australia. I don't know whether they're popular elsewhere. Maybe not. I don't know. The only thing is, you do need to make them about the right size. So I'll just trim it down a bit. If they're too big for the jaffle maker, I mean, you can force them in. You can probably force them in. If you force them too far, they don't like it. You might end up breaking them. So I'm just going to make one. So we just put our slices of cheese in. Push it in. Clamp it down. Away you go. Bob's your uncle. Right. Standard Martian technique. Don't have to put a bit of butter in, but what the hell, we're going to put a bit of butter. This is the way I've always made them since I thought of it when I was a kid. Perfected it when I was a kid. Because this way, you're guaranteed to have melted cheese. Not terrible, but it's alright. It's alright, they're always extra tasty, but it's not really extra tasty, it's just a sort of a variation on the tasty. And actually I think the plain tasty's better. Alright, it's them done. So it's just a matter of keeping an eye on the griller, see how that's melting along. I might even chuck a bit more cheese. Bit more cheese in there. I like the griller technique because you really got control over the cheese. Now we need to keep an eye on the fry pan technique. So I've worked it out before exactly where the knob needs to be to get the right amount of heat into the fry pan. And it's right there. So it's all going to be ready in just a minute or two. I've got that. So I'll come back when it's done. Everything's done. It was only just another minute or two after I turned the thing off, turned the camera off. So here's the, I'll give you a close-up of the various ways of doing it, starting with the jaffle. Jaffle. Nice and toasted and fried at the top, and you can see the cheese totally melted. In fact, it's run out onto the thing. There's the one done in the griller, and of course there's the traditional fry pan technique. So, fry pan, griller, and jaffle. There they all are. Maybe I need a bigger plate, I'm thinking. So there they all are on the one plate. Come around this side. Let's taste them. Starting with the griller. My traditional way. So all I did was when the cheese was melted, I got a piece of toast out of the toaster, spread it with butter, just popped it in the griller just for a minute just to melt the butter right through. Actually what I'll do is I'll just cut them all so that you can see how the cheese is melted. I'll get this phone again. Now let's go. I'll come in here. Right, so this is the fry pan technique. Nicely melted. This is the griller technique. Nicely melted. And this is the jaffle technique. Totally melted. So let's try the the Martian griller technique first. Yep. Really good. The butter's melted into the toast. The cheese is totally melted. Fantastic. And let's try the fry pan technique. Good. Bit hotter. Fry pan's a little bit hotter than the toasted one, but doesn't matter. The main difference is the bread is definitely fried, and there's a bit more butter in the fried version than there is in the grilled version. So depending how much you like the taste of fried butter and butter fried bread, that would determine which of these two you prefer. I mean, they're quite similar, but there is a little bit of difference. And jaffle. Jaffle's kind of something else again. It's good too. A lot of the times with the jaffle, you put other things in it, like tomato, And if you've got the right bread and you get it the right size, it'll seal. It'll seal itself, and so even though you've got liquidy stuff inside the jaffle, it won't run out. You hope. Theoretically, it won't run out. So the jaffle gives you extra options there. Like with the others, if you've got runny stuff and you're trying to cook it in the fry pan, it's going to run out into the fry pan, which may or may not worry you. I really like my traditional way. You taste the bread better than you do. The jaffle compresses the bread, and the bread loses a bit of its character when you do that. This way, you don't compress the bread. The cheese is completely melted. It's not too oily. The fry pan way, it's a bit oily, from the butter, which is great if you want that. If you want that oily buttery fried bread thing, then you have to go with the fry pan, because that's how you get the perfect fried bread. And look at that. Look at that perfect fried bread. It's got the fried bread crunch, Whereas the toasted one, the bread's not fried. It's different. It's not a huge difference, but it's a difference. So I think it comes down to what you like. If you're looking for that rich butter fried bread taste, which is going to be more fatty, it's going to turn you into Porky the Pig. But if you like that, and it's nice, it's really nice, go for the fried option. If you want to back off the fat just a bit and still have the taste of the cheese and all the taste of the bread still has its character, then use the griller like I did. This one's not as greasy. Still got taste of butter. There's still butter there on top, but it's not overpoweringly butter. Just a nice addition. As for the jaffle, I've made better ones than this. Probably should have cooked this a little bit longer, would have fried a bit more, would have got a bit more of the fried thing. But you get the compressed bread, so you get it's hard and crunchy, fried. They're good, but they really come into their own when you put things like tuna, tomato, ham, whatever. They come into their own when you do that. So there's a place for all of these, but for me, I think this one I'm going to stick with, because this one is a bit lower in fat than the others. Not much, just a bit. Still got all the flavour, and it's easy to clean up. I suppose you just got you get a bit of cheese in the bottom of your griller after a while. Depending how many of them you make, you know. How often you eat them. Alright. There you go. Cheese toasties, or as we call them, toasted cheese sangas, mate.